All right, here we go. Welcome. So this is Revenue Roadmap, where we talk about sales and marketing for local entrepreneurs. I'm Anthony Karls, president of RocketClicks. Today, I am with Matt Hawker, and he's got the coolest last name in the world. And he does SEO here. He's also someone that helps with leadership because his name is actually spelled hacker. And like, if you want
It
SEO
is.
well, you need a hacker on your team. So, but this is Matt Hawker. So thank you for being here with us today.
Absolutely.
All right, so today we are going to be talking about something we do here at RocketClicks, and it's all about leadership culture. How do we get the team to work better together? How do we communicate better? So it's a program that the program we're going to be talking about is called GiANT. So Matt's going to be talking to us a little bit about that. We're going to talk about why it's important to driving revenue, just like we do in every episode, and we're going to help identify whether or not this is being done well in your organization. Or if it's not, what issues you can look for. So before we do that, Matt, so tell us a
Yes,
little
sir.
bit of your history as it pertains to getting into marketing and kind of your journey as a leadership coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Um, Journey into marketing. Okay, so first to go back to my last name, it is Hawker. I know there's a lot of people that were super, super disappointed when I got hired. When they found out that my last name, in fact, was not Hacker, I believe one of them even said that I should resign just immediately because it said I lied. And I didn't. It is a crazy, weird last name, but it's a good conversation starter. From a marketing standpoint, I've been in various forms of marketing for a lot of years. I started off kind of like on the data and analytics side, and then I got into some account management, and then I got into SEO, and I kind of realized like it all kind of blends together, and it all blends together within marketing. And I realized I'm a talker, as you can probably tell. I love talking to people, and I love helping businesses and companies reach their goals, which kind of dabs into marketing and dabs into leadership a little bit. I'm very good about taking a goal, working through that goal. This is what you need to do from a marketing standpoint to get that done. So I love doing that. So I got into marketing a little bit more, which then kind of led into leadership. So on the leadership side of things, not only have I been a leader here at RocketClicks since I've been here, I also have my wife and I are also health coaches, and we have helped and managed over 650 people change their life, change their health, and we've led them through that. So I've done a lot of training centered around that. A lot of leadership is helping people understand what's within themselves when they don't even know what's within themselves. Sometimes helping them to get confidence, gain the confidence that they can do the thing that they don't think they can do. So that's kind of where that came from on the health side. Transition that same thing kind of goes into business. A lot of people don't know what they can do until they try it. Sometimes they need a little boost, and that's what I love to do, help people out.
It's awesome. That that speaks really well to that's something Joe Rogan always says. The hardest thing you do is the hardest thing you do. So that's an
Right?
interesting thing to think about. Um, all right, so let's dig in a little bit here on our topic. So, what super high level? Like, what is GiANT? What do we do here at RocketClicks? What's GiANT? Why does it work for us? What's been your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think of Giant as like a leadership training program, and basically what it is, which sounds very official, but it's actually it's super simple. Um, Giant really helps businesses and individuals within that business come to create a common language within the organization itself. When it comes to things like communications, when it comes to things like team relationships, when it comes to things like team alignment, the best thing that you can have within your organization is everybody speaking the same language, right? If Billy over in marketing speaks one way, and Tommy over in IT speaks another way, and Susie Q over in sales speaks another way, and they all speak different lingo, different language on they have different expectations on the way that they can and they can't talk to people. They have different expectations on what everybody should and shouldn't do as part of a team. You're not going to have a very strong team. So what Giant does is it takes all of those things kind of focused on relationships, communication, team alignment, creating a common knowledge, and it is applied throughout entire organization, so everybody's on the same page, and that's exactly what we have done, and what we're still doing here at RocketClicks.
Nice. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about the common language. So like, let's talk about how that manifests. So talk a little bit about how that manifests in GiANT voices. Like, what does it look like? Because that's a core component of the platform.
Yeah, so within GiANT, there's one of the first things that you do is you take an assessment. It's called the Five Voices Assessment, and basically, there's other types of trainings out there too, where colors and all of these different things. And at the end of the day, everybody is made up of all five GiANT voices. We are. We just have natural tendencies that lean towards one or two or three more specific voices of the five in total. And what GiANT does is through that voice assessment, it says, okay, people who are typically this voice, this is what their natural tendencies are. This is where their natural strengths are when it comes to communication and in relationships and team alignment. This is what their weaknesses are generally. And these are some things that typically people who have this type of voice can improve on when it comes to creating a more cohesive team, working on a more cohesive team. So it's really good about helping people understand why they are the way they are, and how they can help themselves and help their team communicate with other people who might not be the same, and that's okay.
Yeah. Nice. So basically, it gives everybody an understanding of like how people may or may not come to a conversation. So basically, you take the voice assessment, you learn about your voice, you also learn
Yep.
about other people's voices, what their natural tendencies are, what their likes, what their dislikes are. Like for me, it's speaking from like a creative pioneer perspective. When I'm speaking with a nurturer, typically that would be my frenemy or my enemy voice,
Hmm.
where we both see the world very differently because they want relational harmony. I'm looking for progress and moving forward. I'm not thinking a lot about relational harmony. So often there's friction there. So knowing that, it's really powerful. So then when I enter a conversation with someone who's first voice nurturer, I know, okay, if I'm not communicating about how this impacts the people, I'm probably not going to be heard and they're going to think that I'm a jerk.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the big things too, I mean, there's there's a mindset element to GiANT that I absolutely love too. And there are some people and this is kind of where some of my previous coaching comes into play too. There are some people where it's super easy for them to dream. And in order for people to dream, they have to be like future thinking. That's easier for some people than what it is for other people. So you have future thinking individuals, and you have present thinking individuals. So each voice type is tied to, in through GiANT you will learn that each voice type is either a present thinking voice or a future thinking voice. And how powerful is it to go into a conversation knowing that Joe is a future thinking voice, and maybe you're a present thinking voice,
Yeah.
right? So you have to help Joe understand the things that he needs to know to, like, okay, Joe, this is present, right? Or vice versa. So that's one of the things that I love about it too. It's that it helps you be able to communicate with other people who are similar to you, but it also helps you communicate with other people who might be completely opposite of you. But in order to have a cohesive team at an organization, you need to be able to communicate with each other.
Yeah. Nice. So how does this manifest? So we take the assessment, then what else comes with the GiANT platform? Like how do we roll through this? Because this is a
Yeah.
pretty intensive, long process. It doesn't can't turn it on and just have it fixed. There is no easy button.
Right.
Well, talk a little bit about like what it looks like after the assessment.
Yeah, so we have weekly meetings that we go through here at RocketClicks, where they're video led meetings, but they're also very very um, uh, in person, I should say, meaning that it takes people to communicate within the meetings. You're not just sitting there and watching a video. You're gonna have people, you're gonna have input from people. It's expectations that people are gonna speak up. So for some people, that's gonna be really difficult because they don't like to speak and communicate within meetings. Um, but I would say that our trainings go about 4 to 5 months per session. And then after that time, there's a whole slew of different resources that GiANT has available to you to continue. If there's something specific that you want to get better at for yourself, there's a whole bunch of different videos that you have access to within the GiANT platform, which is super nice. So our employees can go through our session that we lead, and then if there's more that they want to if there's a more giant road they want to go down, there's more videos for them to watch. So it takes it at the core fundamental, and then there's an advanced section of GiANT too that's a little bit more advanced for maybe your leadership team and other leaders within your organization, that they can continue to take. But everybody should start at the Five Voices assessment, which is kind of the baseline for what GiANT's all about.
Yeah. So I know here at RocketClicks, all our team members go through the Five Voices assessment. Then they all go through a workshop, which takes, I think most of them take about 4 to 5 months.
Yep.
All transforming team communication. It's a weekly meeting. And so can you talk a little bit about how the teams change over the course of that 4 to 5 months?
Oh, absolutely. That's the coolest part, man. Like when we first start a session, everybody's typically a little hesitant, I would say, because this new thing, like learning how to communicate, learning how to work better as a team, they don't really know the expectations, and sometimes it's just hard for people just to like go with the flow. But as we meet every week, the growth that you see within people is just, it's amazing. Before you know it, like people will start to speak up more in our GiANT meetings. Well, then that translates into people speaking up more in other business meetings that you have. You might start to hear a little bit less gossip around the workplace, because instead of people, hey, did you hear what Bill said to me the other day? Like they'll just, if they have a problem with Bill, like through GiANT, they'll just go talk to Bill and say, hey, you know what? I didn't I didn't I just wanted to talk to you about this. This is something that I recognize, and what that translates into me is that it gives your team an abundance of confidence to lead themselves in conversations that prior to GiANT they would have just kind of pushed to the side or asked somebody else to help them with, or worse, just like forgotten about it, right? And just that's when like problems begin to fester. So really, I've seen a lot of a lot of confidence come out in our team, with their ability to communicate within meetings, communicate with themselves, to work through problems and issues, and to really just kind of raise their hand for themselves when they need to, and otherwise they probably wouldn't have.
Yeah. So after that, you mentioned there's another program. So that's called 100X Leader, that we also take our team through, our leadership team, and then our next up team. We've been taking them through that, which has also been super beneficial. So
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about, so why is this? Because on this podcast, we talk about why our topics are important to driving revenue. So like,
Yeah.
I'm a small business owner. I have a finite amount of time. How
hmm
adding one more thing to my plate and my team's plate overall, why should I consider doing this? Because this seems like I might just be wasting time. So talk to me about that.
That's a great question. Um, why shouldn't you care about your people, right? That's the question that I ask. So, um, when you're a small business, one of the most important things to your business is your team, because it's a small team, right? Your small business probably have a smaller team. You need that team to be as cohesive as possible. You need that team to operate as one unit to the best of their ability, right? When you have 500 people and somebody isn't pulling their weight, or somebody is detracting from the team, it's probably a little less noticeable, right? But if you have 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 people, 50 people, like if one person detracts from the overall team, you're going to notice it. And so leading your team through this to help them understand and to get on the same page from a communication standpoint is vital, right? Think about if somebody in sales had their own way to solve problems, and marketing had their own way, and IT had their own way. And let's say you have 10 people, right? So 30% of your company is operating in a different way from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue, right? Like you're not going to operate as a business as efficiently and effectively as you could if everybody was on the same page. So getting people, even especially in a small team, it's vitally important that everybody is on the same page when it comes to communication and operating as a unit with a shared language.
Yeah. So like I know what we've seen specifically is the the amount of like negative or wasted energy in communication has gone down, uh, which in turn turns into productive time energy as output. So that
Yeah,
1 45-minute meeting a week has really changed our overall dynamics in the culture because we're starting from a place of relationship, trust. Then we get to alignment. We can actually see real capacity. We can actually execute, and that's that flywheel. And that's one of the things we'll talk about in a future session. The communication code is moving in a way healthier way because you're starting at the right point because you're actually inviting conversation and communication, and you're solving the right issues, not
yeah,
the ones that, well,
yeah,
you're a jerk and you just want me to do X, Y, and Z because that's just how you are. You don't really care about how this makes me feel and all this other stuff. And like we just get into these circular conversations that are not super productive.
yeah. And it has a huge impact on culture, right? Like especially if you're a small business, if you have one person that's what I would call like toxic, or maybe isn't, toxic might be a strong word, but who isn't on the same page as everybody else, it's going to have a detrimental effect on your culture overall, right? So making sure that everybody operates from a communication standpoint with a shared knowledge and shared vision, especially if you're a small team, that's only going to bolster your culture. Um, and the stronger culture that you have when you're a small business, the more money you're going to make because people are going to enjoy coming to work. People are going to enjoy the people that they work with, right? They're going to then reflect on the people, that the clientele that you have as a business, right? You're not only helping your team communicate better with themselves by going through GiANT, you're also helping your team communicate better with your clients, right? And the stronger your relationships are with your clients, the more referrals you're going to get, which is going to have a direct influence on your revenue. So it's a huge thing, especially if you're a small business, to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
So how do I know? So I'm a local entrepreneur. How do I know if like this is an issue for me? Like, what does this look like in practice? How do I know I have an issue? How do I know if it's going well? What does that look like?
It's kind of I'm going to kind of give the same answers for both of those in terms of how do you know it's going well and how do you know it's not going well. So if you see that it's pretty easy sometimes to see if your team's communication is improving or not, right? Like how are people showing up in meetings? If people are being more vocal in meetings, if people are being more open and honest with each other, then you know that GiANT's probably doing its thing. It's probably working. But if you don't see those things happening, then you know that you have a problem, right? Same thing goes for culture. If you can see that when people have problems or issues that they need to work through and talk through with other individuals at your organization, if those conversations are actually happening and you're getting the output from those, and you can see that, if your team is leading themselves through those conversations instead of you having to lead them through those conversations, then you know that GiANT is working. If that's not happening, then you still have a problem. So those are two of the biggest things for me. Also, just listening, right? Like you can learn a lot just by listening to what people are saying. And if everybody's starting to use the same language when they're referring to different elements or different parts of your business as it pertains to meetings and communication, and you start to hear different verbiage from GiANT being dropped in meetings, then you know that it's having an impact, and that it's doing what it's supposed to do. um, if you don't hear those things, you probably still have an issue, right? One of the things of GiANT is there's a lot of like self-reflection that I've gathered from GiANT. And if you're having one-on-ones with individuals and you ask them about those reflection moments and they don't really have like much of an answer for you, then I would question how attentive they really are during GiANT. And like with any leadership thing, sometimes not everybody takes it seriously, right? That's when I think there's kind of a moment where it's like, okay, they either need to get on the boat or get off the boat. And this is important enough that you need everybody to be on the boat for it to work effectively.
Yeah. Just on the one more point on that, because when we were first trained on it, one of the biggest things that we were trained on is if the highest level leader isn't willing to drink the Kool-Aid, it's probably going to be a waste of your time. So
Yeah.
this isn't something to bring in the organization, delegate down, and just forget about. Leaders need
Correct.
to be very involved. They need to drink the Kool-Aid. They need to function from this perspective. If they're not having the same opportunities to reflect and grow and see themselves, like see the mirror, like where's the broccoli in my teeth, it won't work. Because
there's a really good saying that I have that I use quite a bit, and it's inspect what you expect, right? So what you expect for your team, I expect you to do this giant leadership training. I mean, looking in a mirror, right? Like inspect within yourself. Am I doing what I'm expecting my team to do? And if I'm not, why?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're having problems within your team, maybe the first place to start is with yourself.
Yeah.
And especially, if you're a leader within an organization, you 100% need to be doing this with your team, for you to lead them through this, because a lot of GiANT is not something that comes naturally for people.
Yeah.
Right. My number one voice in GiANT is connector, right? Connecting with people, speaking, talking. I can do this all day long, right? But not a lot of people can. So they're going to need help through that. Going back to what I said earlier, like they're going to have to borrow your confidence in them to get through this, for them to, until they can get it within themselves. And they will, throughout the process of GiANT, like they will get this confidence within themselves, but it has to start with you as their leader.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you being willing to
absolutely
today and hang out with us for a little bit. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.